Hello everyone, this is Dr. Fang Yi. Welcome to our General English Advanced course. Today we're going to talk about reading strategies for our lessons today. So before we talk about reading strategy, let me recap of what we have learned so far on the process of writing a research paper. As we talked about in previous lessons, the first step for you to write your research paper is for you to identify a research topic and narrow it down to a research question, which every one of you actually have one already. Then probably you remember the second step for you to write your research paper is by locating sources of information on the topic that you have chosen. So you probably remember going to the library or actually just use online library to check for information, academic sources for your topic. Then when every one of you have academic sources on your topic, then you have to read those sources or articles that you have chosen and take some notes to reflect on what you've known so far on your topic. Then as you see from our course syllabus, you know that you have to submit an annotated bibliography before the final research paper. So what it does is for you to annotate those articles that you read and to see the connection of that article with your research topic. So now one has located sources, read the sources. Now this person needs to construct an outline for his or her research paper. So this is the next step of writing a research paper, to have an outline. So here comes to the actual writing step that every one of you need to write the paper and incorporate those articles that you have located and read in the paper. So the concern that I have is oftentimes that students constantly citing information, quoting information from the article, then they lose their own voice in the paper. So in the future courses, we're going to talk about how you can integrate those articles without silencing your own voice in the academic paper. Next, when you finish your article, the following step is for you to document those references and add a references page at the end of your research paper to finish this research paper as a whole. We will talk more about how to document references in the text and in the references page in the following courses. So here comes the final step of writing a research paper. This is the step that usually students forget or neglect. So the final step is for you to proofread your articles. A lot of times students just write and submit it without proofreading, and then you have a lot of mistakes in this academic paper. So the final step is really for you to proofread, take some time to make sure that you don't have a lot of mistake, major concern in the paper before you submit it. So as you can see now, this is the overall process of writing a research paper. Then you must be wonder, what do we stand right now in the process of writing a research paper? Here you go, resources and take notes. Last week, we have talked about how to locate sources on your topic. And today, we're going to talk about how to read these sources and take notes. And this is a very essential step, as you can see. Without these articles, you won't be able to discuss on your research topic. Hey, but let's face it, some texts are just too difficult to read, right? So how about text written in language that we cannot understand? Is it difficult enough? Let's give it a try to read text in foreign languages. First, I want you to read this foreign text. I want you to think about what is the genre, what is the type of the text, how can you know? And then I want you to think, in what way do you try to understand the text? I will give you a couple minutes. So without really understand these specific languages, including myself, I don't understand this language. So what do you think the type of text is this? So I would say many of you would think this is a street sign for drivers on the road to take a look, right? So this is a street sign, and even if we don't understand the language, but by looking at the pictures, the photos, or the signs, then we can understand that this might be a sign telling the driver not to park in this specific area because this might be a tow zone. So the strategy that I use to understand the text is for me to look at the photos, the signs. Because sign is the universal languages that all of us can understand. You might be thinking, no, this is too easy to understand. This is not a difficult text. So let's try a different foreign text. Right, so how about this specific foreign text, which is written in Spanish? I want you to also think about what type of text is this and how do you understand the text. I will give you a couple minutes. So based on my previous experiences of introducing this to my students, a lot of them, their first reaction is that I don't understand, right? But because of our first activity that you read a street sign, then students started to look at the photos. So they will probably guess, okay, this probably is a story about someone's in the hospital. So of course we cannot understand the main text of this specific news, but we know this is probably about a patient, right? And then so based on looking at this outlook of the text, a lot of you might notice that it is a Yahoo web page. So you would know the type of text is a web page. It's a website, right? Even if without understanding the language, because we are aware that Yahoo is available in different type of country and in different type of languages. So photos can actually deliver messages as we discussed earlier, right? So this specific web page contains different type of photos. So we can try to look for something familiar that we probably can understand or decipher the information without understanding the foreign text. For example, there's a smaller photos that actually showcase Trump. So without knowing that specific news, but I know or we know that the news is about Trump. And there's another photos at the bottom that showcase it's in the aircraft. So it must be a news that about taking the flights or something happened in the flight. Moreover, you will understand where to look for information. For example, you can see the search engine. There is a question mark over there. Even without understanding this specific Spanish website, but you had experiences of looking for information on website, maybe Yahoo, Taiwan before. So you would know whatever you type in the boxes over there and hit that search engine, then you can look for information going to the next page. And you also can see there's an icon showcase, there's an envelope. So you would know from your previous experience that is an icon for you to email your friends, whoever you want to email to. So that is a function for us to email even without knowing that Carrier probably is a Spanish word for email. Let's also take a look at the weather icons. So although it's written in Spanish, probably that shows Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday based on our previous experiences, we will know that shows different weather in specific day, right? So the temperature is pretty universal because it's numbers, so it's easy for us to understand from the Spanish website. And also there's a location icon over there, so we will know it's in Mexico because they share certain roots or shape of the language with English words. Some of you may think, no, this is not difficult enough. So let's try a third foreign text. Okay, so this is our third foreign text. I also want you to spend some time, try to see what is the genre, what is the type of the text, how can you know? And then I want you to consider the ways you try to understand the text. So, as you can see from the layout of the text, you can tell it's very formal or it has a specific structure, right? And it shows like that the first word, Fatiha, it shows that probably that's the title or the theme of this overall text. And then you started to read, even if you don't understand it, but you started to read Bismillah Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. So you started to see that okay, it seems like there's a rhyming over there at the end of each line, and then it has a symbol shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it tells you those are the different lines in this specific text. So there are 7 lines, and you can really tell at the end of each line, it has a different color to showcase the rhyming. In. Rahim, Alamin, Rahim, Din, Nasta'in, Gin. So you can really see, probably this is a poem, right? So it's either this is a poem or if something that's more formal that you can probably guess, probably these are the texts from Quran, right? The Islamic text. And then, so in what way do we try to understand the text? As I just said, this shows different hints for us to try to understand this text. So the overall point is for us to see that we don't really need to understand the overall meaning of the text to understand the theme or the genre, the type of the text. So this is what I really want you to get from our activity today, reading strategies for journal reading. First, I really want to look for something familiar to you. For example, signs, picture, graphs, shared words, numbers, and punctuation. These are the hints for us as a reader to really understand the text. Second, I want you to use your prior knowledge to understand the text. 3, to reread the text until you get the gist of it. Final, I want you to be persistent. Don't think you are too stupid to understand the text. Instead, keep working on the text until you make sense of it. Not necessarily every details or every sentence in the text, but you should understand the majority, not the majority, but I would say the gist of the text. What is the main idea of the text? So having the will and disposition to understand is the key. Then some of you might think, how about reading academic articles? They are difficult too, and they are very different from the general text or foreign text that we've been reading. So here's are the reading strategies for reading academic articles. So I want you to analytically scan reading to get a sense of their structure and organization. So first, look at the bigger picture of the text. Second, don't forget why you are reading the source. You need a specific type of information, right? So remember we talked about the process of writing a research paper. Every one of you start with a research question. So you are looking for something that's related to your research question. So don't forget why you are reading the text. Then try not to get bogged down making sure you understand every sentence. I really want you to just focus on the main idea. So last, it is easier to read something when you know what you are looking for and where to find it. So in the following, we will do an activity to practice this. So let's take some time to read this specific text and try to look for some information about the text. So the instruction for us is to look for Waldo. So where's Waldo? I'll give you some time. I bet all of you will be wondering, so who's Waldo? We cannot even look for it when we don't know who's Waldo exactly. So let me give you some hint of who's Waldo. This is how Waldo looks like. And let's try one more time to look for Waldo. Where's Waldo? So even if you know who's Waldo, in this specific text, it might be too difficult for you to look for Waldo when the text involves a lot of information, right? So let me give you another hint on narrowing down the sections to look for Waldo. Now you know what Waldo looks like and where to look Waldo, then I want you to spend a little bit time to look for Waldo. Look for the information that we need from the text. I hope you found Waldo like I do. So when you know what you're looking for and where to find it, reading becomes a faster and more efficient process. So now let's try this with your source. So before you work on reading your academic source, I want you to understand certain strategy for reading academic article. So first, keyword information about a study tends to be found in specific sections. Like what we do for this Waldo activity, you need to know specific section for you to look for certain information that you need. So don't be afraid to skip to the end. Going directly to this desired information saves valuable time and energy. And when you read, I want you to react to what you read and take notes. And these notes can be questions, disagree, agree, what, really, or even emojis. At the end of today's lesson, I want you to use the strategy you learned from today's presentation and activity to do this individual task. I want you to use strategy reading, analytically scan one of your academic sources, and ask yourself the following questions. What genre, what type is the writing? What is the study or report about? What is the thesis and what are the research questions? Are implication or finding mentioned? How is the information in the source relevant to your topic or helpful for your paper?